to my cactus live stream, cactus care, sowing out. We've sown out vegetables. I brought some chili here, actual chili seeds that we have sown out, and I'm worried because 2 of them haven't really ditched the outer layer of the seed corn, like of the seed, and that shell can cause an infection. So we will try to remove that today on 2 seedlings. But I'm not sure if that will work. We're trying it out, because I'm really worried that it hasn't happened yet, and need to do something probably. Hey, welcome to the stream. Great to have you. Thank you for joining. Yeah, I have a lot of stuff today again. Seedlings, some that were fertilized, maybe seed cleaning. I brought sowing soil again so we can sow out. Everything's here. So yeah, welcome everyone. Happy to take questions. If not, I'm just going through everything. And for now, let's try out getting rid of that outer shell of the seed here in these little seedlings. I have 2. Check it out. And I'm really worried about these. Very often the leaves will just open up and push it off, but I'm not sure if that happens here too. I feel like maybe I have planted them too shallow, not deep enough, so I would carefully try with a surgical scissor to loosen this thing, but really carefully. I have no idea. Okay, I destroyed the seedling. Okay, look at it. That isn't supposed to happen. That's what I really wanted to avoid. Yeah. Okay, so this is enough for that. This seedling's probably gone. I don't think we can save it. But I'm really worried about that kind of fungal infection there. Yeah, that was a great example how not to do it. But yeah, I'm really worried. This looks really infected, My feeling is that it was probably not planted deep enough. Classic cactus breeder sowing out something else stuff, I'm just used to planting very shallow. I don't think I can get this off safely either. I'll leave it alone for now. Maybe it opens up. Maybe the leaves open up there. But for now, that was great. That had really worked. Okay, so let's go through the seedlings for now. Maybe there's something something better going on there. Okay, yeah. I mean, for now they are all right. They don't look great. They don't seem to grow very fast. I consider taking these out, but maybe in another couple of weeks. For now, they don't look bad. They are growing probably in the humidity. Yeah, these are all low quality. I agree. We had that. They just, at some point, they don't close anymore. The quality of all the products that I'm using has declined. The pots, it's also the pots. The pots that I got maybe 4 years ago are not the same that I got like recently. Quality of all these products has decreased and the price has gone up. But yeah, I have them now, and for now they work. It's not that they aren't usable, but they aren't reusable as often as something in better quality would be. Yeah, apart from that, the seedling's a little too deep, a little bit of moss, but that's not a problem. Let me see what kind of seeds these are. This is bamboy, offspring with bamboy. I would really love to start fertilizing them, but little early maybe. So I will leave them in there, but this is on my list of things that where I want to take them out, maybe even transplant into new soil, and then starting to fertilize. They are growing too slowly. Okay, so here, this was one of the containers with variegation. Humcus Roro probably, or no, Hilde Winterer, but yeah. Oh yeah, Humcus Roro. I had written Hilde Winterer, Humcus Roro, and it's actually a multi-hybrid. Seedlings don't look healthy. Some totally variegated, some not. I want to give them a chance, but needs a little water. Just gotta get my sprayer. I forgot it on the other side of the table. Just a little bit more water. I don't like how they have kind of decreased in size, gotten smaller a little, more transparent. I just think that a lot of these full variegated seedlings are not really something that I want around. Let me see what's here. Every now and then, I gotta moderate the chat. So yeah, we'll see how these go. I don't think they will develop, really develop into something healthy. A lot of the seedlings have already started to decline. Not really a fan. But I want to give them a chance. Maybe one or two are able to produce chlorophyll, and that could mean that we only need one seedling, one healthy seedling out of them, that we continue to work with long term. So let's move on here. Okay, these are looking yeah, pretty good, but a little bit dehydrated, not much, just a tiny bit. I want to spray it a little, but just a little, because having them a little bit drier has been good to avoid problems with fungus gnats. But yeah, at some point when you have a lot of seedlings in one container like here, you might have to fill up a little water. It just gets lost easily with so many seedlings. They use up a little bit. Yeah, but I hope that the soil dries again a little bit. That is just safer in regards to avoiding problems with fungus gnats. They are really bad this year. In this case, they were pretty bad in the soil that I used first. Now we're using a different kind of soil, sowing soil, but in the beginning, yeah, we tested the other one. Okay. On cactus rooting powders, like the like phytohormones and that kind of stuff, like to induce rooting, to induce increase root formation, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's been around for a while. I haven't really followed up, I haven't really seen a lot. I have seen some posts on the German hybrid forum, because a few breeders are kind of developing, like, or have been selling like the paste that induces popping, and it's basically very similar. Sometimes, like, there are different kind of plant hormones you can put in, but I've seen that being shared on cactus forums. Apart from that, I haven't really looked into it. Haven't seen much about anything like that. But a few friends of mine, they usually work with something like that just to, I don't know how that kind of product was called back then, but I think they were available under different brand names, and yeah, it makes them pop. It makes them root faster. Some of the paste makes them pop, but I don't really work with it. I tried it out. I tried to, when they put up that paste that induces popping, and the plants were not taking it well. I probably handled it poorly. Was probably not. Um, I don't know. Maybe I had too much of it excessively, but the plants weren't looking great afterwards. So I never really spent a lot of time with it, because it's also very possible, if you wanna have a lot of plants, you just do maybe, like, you take one large plant and do maybe 30 or 40 slab grafts. You can also mass propagate easily with grafting, and I always went that route. The one time that I experimented, one or few times that I experimented with a paste to induce popping, it didn't end well. The plants looked terrible. Eventually, I lost them, and they did not pop in my case. I'm not sure. Maybe there's different kind of recipes and all. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not magic. It's just that stuff. That stuff has been around for a very long time. I'm sure it speeds up things a little bit, but you can also you can also wait 3 weeks longer. The older I get, the less in a hurry I am. I'm sure it speeds things up a little, but it doesn't really change anything, apart from maybe you will be able to water the plant maybe a month earlier. Okay, so yeah, these look good. These are nice kind of discolorations, the reddish discolorations that we've discussed before. Reaction to the lamp, probably, but not in an unhealthy way. You can really see them growing. When you see reddish discoloration and it isn't accompanied by the seedlings getting smaller and smaller, then I wouldn't worry. Sometimes it also depends on what kind of a species is involved. There are some seedlings that have a tendency to turn reddish. Some of the pseudolobivia hybrids, they have that reddish kind of glow to them, similar to what you see on Trichocereus tulhuayacensis, that species with the pinkish flower. That has a similar kind of glow on the new growth at the tip, and yeah, in my opinion, it could come from a pseudolobivia being involved in the family tree somewhere. So yeah, here these have been taken out and everything's bone dry, so I will spray them. I've already sprayed them once this morning, and it has dried again. This was just maybe 3 hours. Apart from that, these look great. Everything that I took out of the bag is starting to develop really nicely. Also because I started fertilizing them. There were a bunch of containers with total losses, but apart from that, we're on a good road. Yeah, too many seedlings in one pot. But it's Uwe Kahle seedlings, great breeder that I really, really respect. So I will try to grow as many as I can. It's just at some point I will have to thin this out, and it will be pretty soon, because they are starting to press against the walls of the container, of the square pot, and at some point there's just no more space, and they will continue to grow, and that will suddenly you will have a fungal infection. It will look like you don't know what the reason was, but it often is just plants pressing against something, and then at some point the seedling splits open and it causes an infection. Yeah, and the bags are really low quality. You can really, this is something that I've been discussing in the previous streams too. You can't reuse them as often as you could in the past. That is, I think that is one of the problems that we have today. Maybe not trying to do it the cheapest way possible, but in a way that allows you to reuse some of that stuff. Okay, yeah, full. Totally full of seedlings. Also needs to be singled out very soon. Also Uvekale, I guess. These are between Gräsers Erfolg, Selbstbestäubung, and Cantora. That is a very ruffled hybrid, big flowers, beautiful flowers. I really like this this plant, and I have one in my greenhouse too. So and the father is Bamboy. Bamboy, really, this is a top-notch cross. If the seedlings are able to actually accept the pollen from the father, you know, like if in the cross, during the cross, this was actually a hybrid cross, and not a self-pollination, accidental self-pollination, because that happens a lot with these Gräser hybrids. Gräser follow-up. Some of them are just self-fertile, and you wouldn't know the difference if you pollinated and then it was already pollinated at that point, so you will get a similar kind of offspring as the mother, as the self-fertile mother. So it will always be within a certain range. You will usually not see any kind of traits from the father in the offspring. Okay, these look okay-ish, but I need to fertilize them. You can see that color-wise, these are starting to look a little bit yellowish. Here's one seedling on the side that leans over, and I need to inspect that. The bottom. I need to see if that is because of fungus gnats or maybe a fungal infection at the base. So far, this thing doesn't look bad. I consider taking them out. This is very close to the point where I want to start fertilizing them. But one or two of the seedlings are a little bit too small. Especially that one that has leaned over here. And another one there. The other seedlings have a size where I feel like they easily make it if I take them out now. In the middle there are one or two smaller seedlings too, but the majority should make it. The parents, this is a Lubivia winteriana hybrid cross between winteriana and Saarwellen. A Rolf Autenried hybrid. I really like Lubivia winteriana, and I've been repeatedly trying to make a cross with a columnar Trichocereus or one of the hybrids, like the multi-hybrids between a columnar and Oprepanda, like fathers, like Saarwellen. Saarwellen is one such hybrid, and in this case, I'm really looking forward seeing the seedlings. I hope that the father actually was able to change the type of body that we will get from it. I would love to have something like with a similar flower color as winteriana, but more columnar. Okay. Yeah, these. Soil humidity is perfect. Seedlings look great. There is a little bit of moss, but I'm not seeing problems there. Maybe I can remove that moss. Let me see. But it's stuck in between seedlings. Okay. Yeah, it turns out moss isn't the real problem, but at some point when it spreads, I don't like how it changes the humidity, the soil structure. It turns it into like it looks a little bit like a swamp, like a miniature swamp, and I don't like that. These here look all right, still green. Maybe in 2 weeks they will get the first fertilizer. This is at a point where I can start taking them out of the bag. They would make it. They have the size where they could do it. But for now, I'm not seeing any problem in the soil, not seeing any kind of losses in there. So I will close this one up again. I'm constantly opening them up, checking on the seedlings, and if as long as there's no problem, I don't take them out. In the bag, it's a little bit safer if things go all right. But the moment you have a problem in a bag, you might be forced to take them out. So this is with washed pumice, and this is one of the containers with washed pumice that looks good. This is a container that didn't have problems with fungus gnat, or where we got rid of them by transplanting early. Some of the containers with fungus gnats I transplanted into washed pumice in an attempt to ditch them, and it is a very fast draining medium. And sometimes when the seedlings were already damaged, you can't save them. And in this case, it's good that we can show there's also the cases when it goes well. Okay, it's okay. One or two are a little bit like leaning over. I suspect it could be that Kami has slept on them again. Every now and then my cat sleeps on the seedlings, and it doesn't really bother me. I don't really like it, but you know, what can you do? So these are at the point where I want to take them out soon. I just have a feeling about them, like looking into the soil, looking into the humidity of the soil, and I don't want to have fungus gnat problems with them. So I will take these out, I will spray them, I will fertilize them. And that should also, if there's any kind of fungus gnat in the soil, that should take care of it. Okay, another one. Very young seedlings here. Just maybe 2 weeks old, I guess. Just in the very first stage. I think this is one of the containers that didn't have the right humidity in the first run, first germination run. And with this second watering, more seedlings came up. Some of them still have the seed attached to them, to the upper side of the tip. They have these little tiny horns, and on them, the seed often gets stuck. They usually fall down when you're watering or whatever you do. At some point, when the seedling grows, that falls down. But I've seen a lot of cases where it didn't happen, and since then I sometimes help a little. This is starting to bother me. I will look around for better bags next time. It's not really, this isn't really made to be reused. That's how it feels. Okay. But I also got to say, we opened them very often. You know, this is maybe the 100th time that I have opened them up. You would usually not open them so often. We just do it because it is great for the channel to show the progress on a daily basis, to show what needs to be done. These are a little too deep in the pot. Little discoloration, but healthy. You can see that one or two, they are reddish, but you can also see they are spiny. They have a healthy growing set of spines, interesting shape. At some point very soon I will take these out of the bag, but they just look too good right now. I don't want to unnecessarily change anything that isn't really needed in that moment. So I will close this one up again. On the long run, most of the seedlings will be out of the bag, and when they are out of the bag, there isn't such a huge risk to a lot of infections anymore. At least not if you don't overwater them. The biggest problem then is that you can't water enough, that they dry out too fast. So, okay, and here's a great example why I hate moss. This is perfect. Check it out. So, here's the moss, you know, and here it led to a seedling that expired, this one here. And it's almost certainly because of the humidity. It just turns everything into a swamp. What I want to do here is throw this thing away. I want to take it out of humidity now. The time of keeping this in humidity is over. When I have a infection that is so close to the other seedlings, then I can at least assume that this is contaminated, that if I close it up again, either there's a problem that has caused this seedling to expire, and also that it might come back if the humidity stays on. Like high humidity, you can easily have a reoccurrence of an infection. So I will clean this up a little. I will remove all the moss here now, just roughly. So here's a seedling that had grown into it, and the roots look great. So it doesn't really hurt. It's just I don't like what it does to the soil. One of the things that I really try to have is that the soil dries out fast, that the soil isn't different kind of 3 different kind of things in a pot, like that all behave differently with humidity. The part with the moss will be a little bit more humid, and while other parts can be completely dry. I don't want to have different climate zones in my pot. So yeah, I removed most of it, and now this will go out. This will go under the lamp, and just like this, and I will fertilize them now. First time, later today probably. So tomorrow or in the next days, you will see that some of the seedlings have grown. You can usually see that, like when you're starting to fertilize and they haven't gotten a lot, then they instantly soak that up and put it out in growth, at least if they are healthy. Okay. Yeah. Born to be Wild sister. In my opinion, it is better than Born to be Wild. Born to be Wild Lobivia hybrid. Lobivia ferox crossed with Lobivia. I've been trying to I knew it, you know. I said it so often in the videos, but it's gone since a few weeks, and I've been trying to remember it, like what the other parent was. But I will look it up. I will look it up later. I wanna know it again. So yeah, this is a sister of Born to be Wild. I had a tiny fruit, and I was so happy to have one, because that kind of plant, that sister of Born to be Wild, it's not a named hybrid. I found that on eBay, and I found it, you know, just for cheap, like for 15 bucks, something like that. And in my opinion, the flower looks amazing. And I tried to propagate it, induce popping, but so far it has been resistant to that. So at least now we have a little fruit. We have a bunch of seedlings. Even if the offspring looks a little bit different, I still have high hope. If it, in regards to the quality, is similar to the mother, this could be great. And the seedlings are pretty small. They haven't been growing fast. These have been small for a while. I've been showing them from time to time, and every time nothing happens. But they don't look unhealthy. If I look into this thing, if I would see weak seedlings, I would have probably already like disregarded them. But they have healthy spines. Maybe we can get these to flowering age. So yeah, I will close it up again. Here's one seedling that isn't fully developed, that is a little delayed. You can see the group in center and the one on the right, they have a very different appearance. We'll see how that goes. Okay. What's going on here? At first I thought there was a fungal infection because everything was looking so whitish, had a white touch to it, but it's just the way these seedlings look like. Also, either need fertilizer or variegation, and in my opinion, this could be variegation of. I just picked something up in regards to the appearance of the seedlings. A hybrid cross by Uwe Kahle. The mother is called Fii, F-I-I. That's how it's spelled. And the father is Goldrose. Goldrose being an amazing Echinopsis hybrid, multi-hybrid, I think. It involves a plant called Trichokaiser, some sort of a Trichocereus from a breeder called Kaiser, I guess. And yeah, Goldrose, famous hybrid. I think the breeder is Hartmut Kellner, and it is widely used in good hybrid crosses. I haven't seen a lot of bad offspring with Goldrose. The name is I don't know how it is, if it's Goldrose or Goldrosé, like with an accent on the E, because I've seen both types of spelling. I'm sure Hartmut Kellner will be able to clear that up. But yeah, in this case, this could be a great, interesting hybrid cross. Everything with Goldrose has this unique kind of look to them, like you can see the Lobivia or some sort of a multi-hybrid thing in the ribs. It doesn't look like a normal classic Trichocereus. It looks like a cross between a Trichocereus and a Lobivia. And yeah, in this case, it also it has a long tube, so Echinopsis must be involved. I think the cross was something like some sort of an Echinopsis with Trichokaiser. These are very small, probably Teleflora. Yeah, Teleflora. They are growing. Some of them are growing. Otherwise, I would be pretty. I wouldn't really consider these that they have a chance. But for now, they seem to continue to grow a little. Like sometimes you when you get offspring from Teleflora, it just doesn't go anywhere. And in this case, at least they are starting to grow spines. We'll see how this goes. But this morning, by the way, I need to talk about it. This morning, a friend of mine sent me photos from a cross of mine with Teleflora. And it was Teleflora crossed with Schaffery yellow. And the flower was amazing. Flower was huge. Huge flower. And with a purple kind of throat. Mostly whitish, but with a purple throat. And the sepals were purple also. And the flower was opening widely, really widely. So that was a great flower that I've seen this morning from Teleflora. So I was positively surprised. The kind of color, with that purple eye, you get that relatively often from it. There's this hybrid called Madame Pompadour, which is very similar. But it's a noble looking flower. Really great. And the body, you can see, it looks like a mix between Telegonus and Echinopsis. Really cool. Relatively smallish plant, but with big flowers. I will ask the person who sent me the photo if I can show it, and then I will do that. You need to see that flower. It was great. So yeah, this one here, out of the pot, soil, dry, and I've been spraying them. It's just hard to stay, to spray them. You need to spray them a few times a day. This isn't the first time that they are sprayed today. It's actually the second time, and it has already dried. And that is interesting because the soil that I used was very organic. They always warn you about organic soil and cacti, but when you're growing seedlings, it's a little bit different. And you just have to find the right type of soil. In this case, it was cemetery soil, and I was positively surprised by how fast it dried up. I use it on larger plants in the collection, and also within a day that stuff is completely dry again. But when it rains, it gives the roots a lot of humidity. So not all organic soil is bad for cacti. There are just certain cacti that you can't grow like that. But what I do here, these they like a lot of water early in spring, early season. They like a lot of humidity when they are young in the first 6 months. These look great, healthy seedlings. I think I have fertilized them. You can also see it because the moss has been revitalized a little bit. When you start fertilizing, it also fertilizes the weeds that are in there. Also need to spray it because it is so dry. And during the day, I need to do that 3 more times. Definitely 3 more times. So every time I'm in the area of the house, I get me a water sprayer and just spray. These here, I don't like how they look. They are dehydrating. And this is a perfect example. The soil is so dry that it might take a while to be saturated. So sometimes when I spray them, within 2 or 3 hours, everything is so dry again that the seedlings don't have enough time to take it in. So I need to keep an eye on that it doesn't get worse. Right now it's okay. You can control it. You can just spray them a little bit more. You see what kind of container, what kind of seedlings need a little bit more water on the regular basis. But it can't be worse. It can't get worse now. And these also, I took these out because there was a problem with fungus gnats. Now I have them as dry as possible, and it isn't perfect for the seedlings. There would be there are good reasons to still have these in humidity. Also because when you take them out and they are weakened like these, it gets harder to give them enough water and all. But this is you need to find the middle ground between keeping the soil wet all the time and just giving them as much as they need. The longer the soil stays wet, the more problems you have with fungus gnats. And since this is out of humidity, you need to be careful that you don't water this so often that fungus gnats can just readily fly in and take the rest of the seedlings. So this is a little drier. It's a little bit more risky. The seedlings, it's a fine line, and we might lose one or two, but long term, with the way the seedlings have looked, they already had discolorations. They look pretty bad, and right now I'm still happy how they look. They're not as good. They're not as well developed as the others, but we haven't lost them. They look like they might make it. Okay, and now the last one. These are also out now. Need more water, a little bit fertilizer, and then next week they will be twice the size. This is also on the list of plants that I want to fertilize today. A little bit water now. Doesn't matter if I spray them again in maybe 2 hours. In 2 hours or 3, I want to fertilize. And until then, the water's gone again. Okay. So yeah, these were the seedlings. I have another one here, container that I wanted to look into. This is one that had total loss due to fungus gnats. I'm not seeing any seedling where I feel like they have a chance, like none. They had already been pretty badly injured by fungus gnats. Here's one seedling that might have a chance, but overall, I think I will just discard this whole thing. Gives me space for sowing out more. I usually try to really make use of the space. So if something isn't going anywhere, I often sort out. I'm not afraid to sort out. Okay, I brought sowing soil to sow out a little again. We'll see what we will plant. I have a bunch of seeds here that we will go through. But for now, let's fill up a few more of these takeaway containers. Basically for salad, takeaway containers for salad. Sometimes if you buy special items made for sowing out, you can get something like this for sowing out, or maybe for other stuff like fungal, for growing cultures and stuff. They already have an air filter, but the moment you buy something that is sold for plants, it is a lot more expensive. So sometimes you can get really good stuff for sowing out or for cactus work in general, from cooking stuff. A lot of these things are usable, like takeaway containers. Then I use a bunch of different, grabbers, different types of tools that I use to grab cacti, spiny plants. You can do that with like tongues that are just made for turning the sausages around on the grill, that kind of stuff. But I also use the mason jar holders that they made earlier, that you can just, they are made to grab these hot glasses that they kind of cooked in, basically, in the past, like when they did, I don't know, marmalade or different types of vegetables, where they were cooking them into glasses, and that mason jar holder is also great for picking up cacti. So every now and then, have a look at what you find in the kitchen store. Okay, and these I paid, I don't know, maybe $30 for a few hundred of them, and that gets you really far. You don't need much to sow out. You don't need a lot of money to grow cacti. That is why I was able to do it, because I was pretty poor, and this was barely what I could afford. So you buy a bunch of different bags of sowing soil. This is sowing soil, classic sowing soil from the garden store, and the takeaway containers with a lid, a removable lid, because you need to be able to take it off. If you see a problem, you need to be able to take the humidity away. Sometimes they come with lids that are already attached, and in my opinion, it's a waste of space, because that lid will always be in the way, and also you lose it. Like you put it besides the pot, and eventually you will lose it. So best to get these separate lids right away. Yeah, maybe six again, like yesterday. Maybe if we get to a point where one half of the seedling is planted in the square pots and the other half is planted in the takeaway containers, that will allow us to compare it a little. I don't really expect huge differences, honestly. Sowing out, they don't need a lot of space, so it isn't really a huge concern that they need a deep pot. If you have them under the same lamp and they get a similar amount of soil, of light, water, and nutrients, there shouldn't be, both methods should be able to get to good results, be successful. It's easy as long as you do not let yourself get confused by all the different approaches, by different by people telling you to do this and do that, but without knowing how your grow space looks, how your environment looks. You always have to. You can't compare the results of one grower to another if you don't also compare their climate. Sometimes a lot of people grow in countries that are hot now in summer, and when you do that, it can really be beneficial to have a soil that is a little bit more forgiving for this kind of stuff. When you have something in a mineral soil and you take it out, you have it out of humidity, then you will, and something happens in your life, just a little crisis, just a little tiny crisis that I get every 2 weeks or 3, then that can already be too much. So yeah, let's see what we have here. The good thing about them is also you can staple them. I'm not sure if I have enough lids. Probably not. Should have brought a bunch more lids, but it's okay. I will bring some later. I will probably have to look for the box with the other lids. I have everything. I have this big box of food takeaway containers, because at some point I felt like, they are like, you get them a little cheaper if you buy 1 million of them. And then I was crazy enough to do that. Like, I don't know how many I bought, but I guess 1,000, maybe 2,000. And since then I have them on the roof, like in the crawl space on the roof. Okay. So I have a bunch of seeds here. let's see what we have. I'm trying to sow out stuff that really has potential, like the really unique kind of stuff. This is Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung crossed with Amun-Re. It's a good cross. Maybe I should sow them out. With Gräser hybrids, I'm always a little bit hesitant because some of them are self-fertile. I don't want to waste my time. But if that cross would work out, like if you have Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung, which is a very ruffled hybrid, and on the other hand, something like Amun-Re, which has a huge reddish flower, that could be a great combination if it works out. Worst case scenario here, self-pollination means that the offspring will look similar to the mother, the Gräser hybrid, and it wouldn't be the worst. The mother looks great. The mother is a little bit smaller than that other Gräser hybrid with Cantora that I have, but it's still a beautiful flower, nice ruffles. So I'm willing to risk it. I'm willing to risk it just because if I would look back and would, at one point I would see seedlings from this cross and I hadn't sown them out, and you could really see Amun-Re in the body, that would really, really frustrate me. So I'm just sowing them out to do my due diligence. Just so I can't at some point be unhappy with myself that I didn't keep some for myself, Okay. Labels. I brought new ones last time. Here. Okay. So the hybrid cross here, Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung. Selbstbestäubung means self-pollination. So that tells you a little bit about what went on there, what happens in the genetics of this thing. The plant already is the result of a self-pollination. So that already makes me very nervous. It's not bad. It can just be a waste of time sometimes. This morning I've also seen a offspring of that plant, and it looked very much like itself, like the mother, but a little bit worse. And that is the risk, you grow, I don't know, 10 different plants from one cross, and they are all basically a step back. I really try to avoid that. But Amun-Re is worth the risk. Amun-Re is a Trichocereus macrogonus hybrid. And the father is unknown, but really good. Hey, Robert, welcome to the stream. Great to have you. Thank you for joining. And also everyone else, great to have you guys. Yeah, I'm going through the seeds here. And so much of it has potential, It's really not easy sometimes because as a breeder, every of these crosses that I made them because of a reason. Because I saw potential there. Okay, so this is Validus. We will sow these out. Echinopsis valida. The plant is very similar to Terschecki, Echinopsis terschecki. Also similar to Verdermannianus, maybe even more similar to Verdermannianus. Hey, I was born in Saarland, Germany. I'm a born Saarländer. It's a little bit, it's actually German, but it's unique. A little bit more French German. I have part of family in France and part in Germany. Okay. Yeah, I'm cleaning the seeds a little here. Just trying to remove everything that can cause an infection when I'm sowing out. Some very small, somewhat undeveloped seeds here. That could be a sign of poor genetic health. I remember that I've sown them out, like a different fruit, but from the same plant. And the seedlings looked weakish also. Smallish, weak, not healthy. I hope this one is different. So this is Validus, a hybrid cross from 2024, 81. Black season. Okay, yeah, put in a little bit of water, not a lot. This is just very shallow. There's not a lot of soil towards the bottom. I'm annoyed that I didn't bring enough of the lids. I should actually have more somewhere, but it's chaotic right now. Doing 10 things at once. So yesterday I was building a website again for the first time. In the past I did a lot of websites. Like there was a time when I felt like I might go into that direction as a job, just building websites, because I enjoyed it. And now yesterday I did it again, and I'm so glad that I didn't do that. It has become so complicated today. You know, with all the stuff like encryption and everything that you need to bring in, like a firewall. Had to instantly install a firewall. The FTP stuff wouldn't work. I'm just glad it's not my job anymore to build websites. So this one here is a Lobivia multi-hybrid that I want to sow out. Looks interesting. When I say multi-hybrid, I usually mean something that has Lobivia and Trichocereus combined. That is a interesting hybrid group that I really enjoy working with, because you can use those plants, those middle, like those bridges. You can use these plants as bridges in between Trichocereus and Lobivia, and you can make crosses with both, and that allows you to bring in totally different kind of flower colors. Lobivia just have very unique flowers, and very often it is hard to bring that into other cacti, into columnar cacti. They just have different kind of like color patterns. Lobivia are very, very colorful, and you could really create interesting hybrids there that are also able to be pollinated by almost everything. Okay. Also from 2024, these are all seeds from 2024. I'm going through those now, and then I we'll see what we do with the rest. So that's why I'm going through now. I just want to finish this. A lot of these will not be sown out by myself because I'm running out of space. But I will try to sow out the best ones. The ones where I really look at the label and think we have to grow these. So 2024, 47. Also a little bit of water, not so much. I also don't want to cover the seeds here. They should be on top of the soil. They need a little bit of light. Light kisses them awake. Okay. So this is how you can staple these. It's not bad. It's a decent method, but if you staple them, you can't really keep them like this forever. because they are blocking the light, you know, from the top. You could put them in front of the window, and everything that comes, like the light comes from there. But I really like to, at some point, open them up, take them out, because the longer you keep them in this thing, the longer the lid is blocking light. But if necessary, you can staple them. Okay. This is an interesting hybrid between Papagei, Paradiesvogel, and Nostalgie. That is a freaky kind of hybrid. I really like the flower. Multi-hybrid, Echinopsis, and Telegonus. Sorensia telegona is involved there. Papagei is a hybrid with Sorensia telegona. And you can see that in the flowers of the offspring, but it has an Echinopsis body. So maybe we're sowing these out later. Over here I found Saarwellen, and Saarwellen is just great. Famous hybrid by Rolf Autenried. Combines a columnar cactus with Echinopsis oprepanda. In that case, it is called Echinopsis calorubra, I think. Calorubra or Tora lapana, but both are forms of Echinopsis oprepanda. At least that's how we treat them today. Echinopsis oprepanda, it's a very valuable kind of species for hybrid breeding. If you like hybrids between a columnar cactus, you know, if you want to have a columnar cactus with a colored flower, something like Echinopsis oprepanda can already be great. Sometimes I've seen like the offspring of from that kind of combination have different flower color in the next generation, like red, pinkish to purplish to orange. So there's a really wide range of color that you can get from just the cross columnar and Echinopsis oprepanda. It's the type of plants that were previously called Pseudolobivia, an old genus name by Backeberg, and it's not valid anymore. I still use it because I stopped really changing labels. If at some point I have Pseudolobivia written on the label, then I will leave it there. I have stopped changing my labels every time some author wants to change something. You know, this is the third or fourth name change that I've been experiencing in my life, and at some point you get tired of constantly changing the labels. I think they are seen as part of Echinopsis, but actually they are different to Echinopsis. So if you ask me, it is a correct kind of different kind of species, you know, different kind of genus. You can really see that they are visibly different from Echinopsis sensu stricto, like the clumping Echinopsis, like Echinopsis oxygona. They have much flatter ribs. The flowers they look a little bit different. That those Pseudolobivia ribs that you sometimes, if you have seen them once, you recognize them, even in a hybrid. It's a very unique kind of group of plants, and in my opinion, it could be correct to keep them separate from Echinopsis, like from the classic sensu stricto Echinopsis that people used to mean when they said Echinopsis. Okay, so we're planting these now, and I just saw that there's a little piece of organic material that I needed to take out here. I don't want to put anything in that can cause a fungal infection. That's why I always clean the seeds before sowing out. I really only want to have the seeds in there. Okay. So in this case here, Saarwellen crossed with Fast 12. Saarwellen, it gets maybe 2 meters tall. And the flowers, they are like dark reddish, interesting kind of red. It's a very similar plant to Trichocereus tulhuayacensis, a species that also flowers at roughly 2 meters and a little below already. I mean, it only gets 2 meters tall. And that, in my opinion, also shows that Trichocereus tulhuayacensis might be a natural hybrid with something like Echinopsis obrepanda. You just have, like, if you compare them, if you put them besides each other, they are very similar plants. Okay, hybrid cross 24 for the year and 73, 73rd cross of 2024. Okay. And this has potential. I really see potential in there. Fast 12 is one of the plants that I'm currently breeding with a lot, where I'm also sowing out the offspring. I just feel like the flower itself is great, but the good thing about it is the genes that it is able to pass down. It is a multi-hybrid. It is able to accept Trichocereus. It is also able to have a nice Lubivia kind of color in the next generation, but maybe on the body of the Trichocereus. So that could be great. So now I want to try finding a few more lids. Maybe I have some here. I would really love to finish the 2 containers that I have here. But this doesn't look good. Nope. I have to continue next time with the other 3. I will cover them up to make sure that nothing gets to them. Fungus gnats, stuff like that. You know, when I'm sowing out, I always try to sow out everything, all the soil that I prepared, or at least I cover it up, and that's what I will do here. If I would leave them out now, a little fly could get to it, and then we have the same problems again, like in the beginning with the fungus gnats. Okay, yeah, let me go through those seeds again, so we can maybe, so I can put out a few that we can sow out next time. This is all left from 2024. 2024 was a season where I barely functioned. You know, that was, my wife was moving out from one day to another, and I don't recall most of that year, but I have the seeds, you know. It's possible. It's possible. I'm not sure. I saw the message that you wrote, like, okay, and then this one where you write that your messages are being filtered. I should usually see it when the auto moderator blocks the message. It should usually show it, but I'm not seeing anything. I'm not sure. Maybe on YouTube side, depending on what kind of words you use, you know. Sometimes they block words due to spam. Oh, okay. I will try to find a way to set this up. I'm not sure. But I will look into that, like with the chat, you know. It should actually, I want to see all the messages, you know. Oh, let me see. I will look into this with with the chat. I want to have the chat open for everyone, so I will work on that. Okay, let me continue here. I have already grown a lot. The important ones from that year. This one I put aside. Here's also a cross with Gold Rose. Hey mate, welcome to the stream. Great to have you. Yeah, this has Gold Rose in it. Could be good. So I would put that aside. Sometimes you really need to think about the cross and what will come from it. Trying to predict what kind of offspring you will get. And that isn't easy sometimes. No matter how long you do it. So this is Schaffery Yellow. Candicans Buena Vista. This one was good. Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung Encantora with Liskes Feuerzauber. That is great. Same what I said earlier. Gräsers Erfolg Selbstbestäubung, and in this case it's a hybrid with Cantora Gelb. Has bigger flowers. So Cantora Gelb kind of increase the flower size, but it could have a better color, like flower color. And in this case, Liskes Feuerzauber, that is a pretty good hybrid. That is really good. So this is Kraken, which was a Telegonus hybrid, Syrensia telegona. This sounds interesting. A lot of them sound interesting. Schaffery Yellow. Like I said, that one hybrid that I've seen this morning with Schaffery Yellow, it looked great. Pseudolobivia hybrids. Fattery, Syrensia Fattery. Lobivia Violet, Flying Dragon. This is interesting. This is Allergold crossed with Gold Rose. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that is definitely possible. That kind of stuff is often filtered out, and I've been doing a lot of group stuff, Facebook groups and that kind of stuff, and the Mexican groups are horrible to lead. On one hand, you constantly have problems with social media, like with the auto moderators. So sometimes you can't predict how they will treat certain genera, and I'm just glad that with my work I don't have that. So I'm not so vulnerable to that kind of filtering, because I know a lot of people that are breeding Mexican cacti and they constantly have problems. And then you have the other problems with scammers, the scam problems on social media. I'm just glad that what I do isn't really high profile, So yeah, but personally, it's I'm not really working with them with anything in that regard. For one, because I always felt like it makes everything more difficult. Just posting about it, like I said in the past on social media, posts got flagged for just normal plant stuff, that kind of insanity. And yeah, and the flowers are small. Flowers are very small. It's nothing that I really can work with. I tried getting bigger flowers, but it's not so easy. So yeah, okay. Let's see, what's this? Arboricola grandiflorus crossed with Amun-Re. That could be great. Let's put this aside. it will be interesting to see how the Amun-Re and Arboricola, how they work with each other. This is Tunariensis, also Amun-Re. This one is interesting, Pseudolobivia. This is a hybrid between Kelly Valley and Orange California and Amun-Re. Could be good. The mother had a white flower, hybrid with Orange California, but it had a white flower, unfortunately. So in this case, I tried crossing in Amun-Re because of the nice red flower. Maybe that can get something interesting out. This is interesting. This is Arboricola crossed with Zelly and pink stripes. Wurlitz, pink stripes. This is interesting. This is Ulf Meerbold. This is interesting. This is interesting. So there will be a lot of sowing out in the next couple of weeks. I really need to grow some of those. You sometimes forget the good stuff that you have. And I don't want to get into that situation where I forget them so long that the viability isn't there anymore. Okay. So I will go through them with a calm head in the next days. And then I will do something with seeds. I have a bunch of fruit from the Wurlitz Cantora Gelb sisters, that like the Wurzel hybrid. I have a bunch of fruit of these. In this case, it was with Liskes Feuerzauber. This also Arboricola crossed with pink stripes. I mean, it depends how you grow them. If you grow certain plants indoors, they will look a little different, you know. You always have that kind of an indoor look. In regards to the soil, I mean, of course, it depends on what kind of a plant you are growing. There are certain cacti that just love to grow in a dry soil, you know, like with a lot of clay, loam, that kind of stuff. Classic Mexicans, you know. But with these, I mean, they should, in the beginning, in the first maybe year, they don't really show the classic traits anyway. Later on, I believe that the more water and certain nutrients they get, the more certain traits come out. And yeah, you can, and that is sometimes in nature, plants don't develop perfectly. They are exposed a lot more, and that changes their whole appearance. Everything looks a lot more roughed up, and that gives them that rugged, wild kind of look. So yeah, you can achieve that also with the soil, depending on how many nutrients you bring in. You know, if you want to have a more natural look, you would go with a more mineral soil. Don't really fertilize as often. And yeah, if you push them with a lot of nutrients and all that stuff, it will also show in the body, and you can get totally different kind of plants. Okay, this is Paul Ehrlich. Paul Ehrlich is also interesting, but so far I can't tell you if it's a great parent or not. Paul Ehrlich looks great on some days, but that is all I can tell you. Okay, I selected a few that I want to show out next time, maybe a bunch of interesting stuff, but I only want to show out one or two of each. I don't want to go overboard. We already have so many seedlings. But something needs to happen. Nobody is going to grow the seeds for me if I don't do it myself. Okay, so let's have a look how late it is. Thank you, Robert. Ulf Meerbold was an amazing flower this year, like in 2025. I was just surprised because I found the fruit also here from 2024. I didn't even recall that it had already flowered that year. But in 25 it looked amazing. The plant was full of flowers, abundantly flowering, was really nice. So I hope next year that like in the next season, in the coming season, it will flower again. I repotted it, so it might very well be possible that it will put all the energy into growing roots for now. It now has a bigger pot, what it didn't have in the beginning. I always had it in a very small pot, too small of a pot, so I potted up a little bit, and it might actually not flower this year. It might just put the energy into the roots. They sometimes do that when you haven't repotted them in a while, and then suddenly they realize they have all that root space available. So yeah, what can we do? I have a bunch of fruit that I also wanted to clean. So let's do one more fruit, and then I'm probably going offline. But it's a good moment to get rid of some of the backlog with the seeds. So here's the fruit of the Loxanthinopsis hybrid. This is dried up. Should have seeds in it, but you never know. So let's have a look. Let's open it up. Yeah, a bunch of seeds are in there. Not a lot, actually. I got a few in the face, actually. But apart from that, maybe we have 30 seeds in there. Loxanthinopsis hybrid by Andreas Wessner. I also have the label posted somewhere in a few videos. It just has a Wessner number, nothing else. And it's just time that I grow something from it. Sometimes you have a plant and you regularly get seeds, but you never really do much with it. And now I feel like now I really want to know if the offspring of that plant is good or not. So I've been sowing it out more often now. It's an interesting kind of interesting hybrid. Like I said, between Loxanthocereus and Echinopsis. A little bit frost tender. Every time the plant comes out of winter, it has little discolorations. Not bad, but bad enough that it reminds you that the plant could disappear every year. Only way to really be safe would probably be to have the temperature 5 degrees warmer, and that would cost more. Right now, I'm really glad when the heating costs for the greenhouse aren't so bad. Where's that piece of paper that I had? Okay. So let's see. Yeah, maybe 30 seeds. Roughly. A lot of dirt in there. Here's a seed that got out accidentally. So, and later I will ask my friend who sent me the photos of the flowering plant if I can show them like in a video or something like that, and then I will also share it on the channel. Like I said, the cross that I saw was Teleflora crossed with Schaffery yellow, Sörensia Schaffery yellow, and the flower was amazing. I loved it. One of my favorite hybrids of mine that I saw recently. I also saw offspring of Flying Saucer crossed with Paul Ehrlich. That is one of the that was a highly anticipated cross that I did. I think in 2019. And so far, I've seen a totally diverse group of different flowers. The one that I saw this morning, it followed Flying Saucer completely. So that one, if you look at it, it's probably a waste of time. Some other seedlings from the same cross turned out differently, different kind of flower color. So far, nothing where I said like that is amazing, that needs a name, something like that. But okay, good flowers, you know, but nothing not living up to the idea of the actual hybrid cross. Flying Saucer is just an amazing hybrid, and it is not easy to improve it. In this case, I tried to bring in ruffles, but I haven't seen ruffles in the offspring. But I haven't given up. I grow a few seedlings from that cross myself. Maybe I can get one seedling that has a little bit of both. Maybe the flower of Flying Saucer and the ruffles of Paul Ehrlich. In general, with Paul Ehrlich, I'm completely uncertain how good it will be as a father, if it will be useful or not. It might not be useful. Sometimes you have a plant that looks great. If you look at it, certain hybrids are amazing by themselves. Super Apricot is an example that I often use. Super Apricot is amazing, looks great, but genetically, if you want to breed with it long term, I have seen so much mediocre offspring from it. So some parents just don't live up to, some hybrids don't live up. If you try to create hybrids with them. Okay, yeah. Maybe even more seeds. Check it out. These are the seeds now. Mostly seeds left here. Could even be 40 seeds, and I want to sow them out very soon. Next time I have new containers here, new lids, and then we will continue. I want to continue sowing out until I have to stop, until I have no other way than to say, okay, now we have to stop this insanity. Until then, I want to continue. It's just great to do it on the channel. We can constantly compare stuff. Sometime soon we will start spraying something like with a pesticide. We'll see how that goes. Like with neem oil. I want to spray 1 or 2 containers. If we will run into problems with mealybug, something like that, we will spray them with neem oil. And they might not like it. We will see. Will be interesting. Okay. So I bag the seeds now for later. Every year I have at least 10, 12 fruits from this plant, from this Loxanthocereus hybrid, Loxanthinopsis. And it's interesting. It's a very unique kind of flower. Looking a little bit like a Hilde Winterer hybrid. Has potential. Yeah. Okay. Loxanthinopsis. I'm sure some of the crosses with that Loxanthocereus hybrid will turn out to be mediocre. But all it takes is that one hybrid cross with something where it really works, like where you can really increase the flower size. Then it could be magic. Then it could really be something outstanding. But you will never be able to tell unless you try it. The plant could be the worst parent that was ever there. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for for participating, for always being here. I appreciate it. It gives me also a purpose in life, you know, reason to go out of bed in the morning. I appreciate it. I really enjoy my life right now. I have nothing to prove anymore, and I can just focus on, you know, what is fun, what people enjoy. Okay, maybe let's do one more, one last. I still have too many fruit here. This is Otto Schulz. And by the way, I want to say something that I read this morning with Otto Schulz. Otto Schulz is a hybrid that I show a lot on the channel, on the videos. I've been sowing out a bunch of them on the stream, and this morning I looked into the correct spelling of Otto Schulz, and the way I understood it, it is written without T, just with a Z at the back, like Otto Schulz, just with a Z, and it's been spelled both ways. I came across a different spelling every time, and I was never really certain which name is the correct one. And the way I understood it this morning, the one without the T is correct. So in the future, I will just list Otto Schulz as with just a C. So this is a tiny fruit of it, a dried one. And I will try to get a bunch of seeds out of it. Otto Schulz, very dominant, bordering to self-fertility, if you ask me. Every time I pollinate that thing, it grows a fruit, or almost every time. It has happened that it also ditched a bunch. You know, not all pollinations take, but there's just a general tendency of that plant to grow fruit. It really likes to grow fruit. Okay. In this, and it's a tiny fruit, by the way, not big. Take care, mate. Talk soon. Thank you for participating. It was great that you guys were here. Okay. Maybe 20 seeds. A little bit more, maybe, but let's have a look on a piece of paper. I will try to sow out at least 10 different crosses with Otto Schulz, and then I will I want to compare if the offspring always looks like Otto Schulz itself or not, because I've had talks about that with Morgan, friend of mine called Morgan Marusteri, and he made a lot of crosses with Otto Schulz that went nowhere, that kind of that looked like self-pollination too, you know, like very dominant, almost looking like Otto Schulz itself. And I want to see, like, if you compare it, if you have 10 different crosses with 10 different parents, how it turns out then. Because it's not impossible to get good offspring of it. Mamacita is a famous hybrid. That one has an echinopsis from a cross between Otto Schulz and some sort of an echinopsis. And that shows you don't have to use the wildest parents. Sometimes a totally boring echinopsis can bring out a magical flower. That is something that I always had a little bit of trouble. Like, you kind of know it that it is like that in theory, but you really need to keep in mind that you might, like, just because you pick a parent that on paper sounds boring, it doesn't mean that the offspring will cannot be great. I was so often surprised by classic kind of botanical species like Echinopsis subdenudata or Lobivia winteriana. In Sunny, that cross that Vladi Yassan made, that amazing, you know, hybrid with the neon colors. It has a yellow Echinopsis in it, just yellow Echinopsis. Sometimes all you need is that one kind of push into the right direction, being it the right combination with the flower. That like the mother of Sunny, I think it was a hybrid between Bravissimo and Lubivia winteriana, something like that. And in combination with the Echinopsis, with the yellow Echinopsis, it just brought out the crazy color. But if you just look at that yellow Echinopsis by itself, just yellow Echinopsis, a lot of people would have sorted that thing out. I would have sorted it out, probably. I mean, it depends. I'm not breeding a lot with Echinopsis, but I looked at the Echinopsis flower that was involved in Sunny. I could have sorted that thing out. I wouldn't put it past me, you know. I can see that happening. That's also what I do sometimes when I see that the plant is genetically unhealthy. Then I try to use something simple, something with good genetics, something with good health. Basic Echinopsis, Echinopsis oxygona, or a botanical Trichocereus, you know, that kind of stuff. You kind of bring in a totally different genetic side, and it often pays off. Yeah, here there's some of the seeds are a little small, not really convinced that they will come up, but I also don't want to sort them all out. Sometimes you have tiny seeds and they come up because it's just a cross between two plants that have smaller seeds in general. So it's sometimes not hard. It's sometimes hard to 100% say that if you when you look at a seed, is it viable or not. You can even have like these floaters that they talk about when they are washing seeds, that also can germinate. Yeah, but this is nothing. Sometimes you need to feel it. It's what I always say. Something might look like a viable seed, but if you feel once you feel it on a fingertip, you just feel there's nothing in there. It's just flat. Okay, and this is what's left. Maybe 20 seeds. And also, this is something that I want to sow out next time. In general, I want to take better care of the Hilde Winterer hybrids. Want to do more with Hilde Winterer. I just don't like how they look. I just don't like how the body looks like. So I dropped a few, but when I get up, I will try to drop them on the piece of paper again. Okay. So we will sow these out next time. Probably lost a bunch, but it doesn't matter. There's so many seeds here. Otto Schulz, just with a Z at the back. And also, one thing that I wanted to say that I also looked up, it is said that Otto Schulz is an Acacia hybrid. And I believe that. I really believe that, the way it looks like and all that. But I couldn't find a confirmation that it is actually Acacia. What I found out is that it was even suspected to be a Sörensia Huasha hybrid in the beginning. So just wanted to say that. It's probably from Acacia rosea flora, the way the flower looks, the way the body looks. But They didn't know. It was a random find, I guess. Okay, guys. Gotta go offline. I think Mika and Kami's food is there, like the pet food delivery has arrived. So I'm gonna go get it up. Thank you guys for participating in my stream. I love it every day. It's great to be here. Great to still be here, and I appreciate everyone who takes time to watch the stream, support the channel, whatever you do. Thank you guys. I love you. Talk soon. I will be back tomorrow, and now I have to lift that heavy dog food up the stairs. Okay. Thank you guys. Take care, Robert and everyone. Thank you.